The National Trust Heritage Awards is an annual celebration of excellence in the field of heritage conservation, events and exhibitions, advocacy, publications and education programs. The National Trust receives more than 100 entries for these highly anticipated awards every year. All entries demonstrate an astonishing range of skills, expertise, creativity, innovation and dedication to bringing the heritage of New South Wales to life and protecting it for future generations. In 2021, the winners across the 10 award categories were so diverse and all are worthy of celebration. These varied from the transformation of a submarine and torpedo base into a community and work hub, the conservation of Depression-era stonework at a harbourside park, a photography exhibition that highlighted the beauty and vulnerability of our natural heritage and environment, the restoration of 1,350 original steel-framed windows for a post-war social housing building, a documentary on how the design of our houses shapes national identity, a decade of work that brought an 1890 church organ back to life, and so much more.
I'm Valentina Mashevska. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at the Hunter and Central Coast Development Corporation, and I'm standing at Leagues Club Park at the waterfront in Gosford. A few years ago, the government architect released an urban design framework for Gosford, and one of the key features of that framework was creating an urban recreational space for the community as part of the transformation of Gosford. We were allocated the role of delivering this project, and throughout the life of its project, it's had significant support from our Minister, the Minister for Planning and Public Spaces, Rob Stokes, and we were really delighted to welcome the Premier, Gladys Berejiklian, to open the park at the end of February. We entered these awards because we were really proud of the way that we were able to transform this park with such a significant cultural heritage component, and the way that we worked with our Aboriginal partners really enabled us to deliver a park that had a beating cultural heart right in the middle of Gosford. When you come to this park, you can see straight away that we've incorporated lots of Aboriginal elements, as well as through the storytelling of the park and the interpretive signage that's available. This just used to be 2.5 hectares of open green space. It was often used for footy at lunchtime, but when you come down to the park now, you see so many more different parts of the community using the park to do lots of different things. So they're playing on the equipment, we've got exercise station, they're having barbecues, sitting under the shaded tree, or they're waiting in the tidal terrace, enjoying getting their feet wet in the water as well. Through our consultation with the local Aboriginal community, we understand that this was a really important meeting place, both for people as well as a place where the land and the water met. And one of the ways that we've reinterpreted that meeting of land and water is through an innovative tidal terrace that brings the water from the Brisbane water into the park through a tidal terrace mechanism, which is the first of its kind used in a park setting in Australia. The tidal terrace works to let water flow in and out of the park as the tide rises and falls. And when it does that, it actually uncovers sea creatures that we've crafted out of sandstone in the base of the park, so that whenever you're in the park, depending on what the tide is doing, you see more or less of these sea creatures. And these sea creatures were modelled on Aboriginal carvings that are found in the mountains nearby. It's the first time that we've brought water back into the park since the early 1900s, when the land was reclaimed. Another feature that is reinterpretive of a meeting place is the amazing Nirimba feature, and it's modelled on a traditional dance and meeting ground, and it's something that has been co-designed with our Darkinjung partners, right from designing the space as well as delivering it in terms of the artistry around the poles. And it's a space that the community can use for cultural celebrations, as well as to enjoy anytime they come into the park. The art poles were actually created by Gabby Duncan, an Aboriginal member of the community, and they reflect a number of different components of Aboriginal community life, such as land, water, people, kinship, the universe and learning. The art poles that are part of that cultural hub are there to be used by the whole community to celebrate Aboriginal heritage and culture. And we saw that used when we opened the park to the community on the Community Day, where we had amazing cultural dancers using that space, showing us their beautiful heritage. We really wanted this community space to be something that a lot of people had a hand in delivering. What we did with the art poles is we invited kids from a number of primary schools on the Central Coast to provide us with their handprints, and we used them to put on top of the art poles to reflect community and learning. There are so many different components of play in this park. We wanted to deliver something that was nature inspired, something unique and special that was available for the entire community to enjoy. We actually incorporated the government's Everyone Can Play guidelines to make sure that there was lots of different experiences and opportunities for children from all walks of life to have when they come into this park. We've got this really interesting play equipment piece, which is actually reflective of an Aboriginal fish trap. So it looks as the traps did when the Aboriginal community were fishing, and it's reflective of the fact that this was an important source of food for that community. Kids love climbing into it, tunnelling through it. I've seen kids swinging on it, so really imaginative piece of equipment that's being enjoyed by kids all the time. We transformed this park into a landscape that included lots of green plants and trees, and within those we engage with our local Aboriginal community, and we've incorporated lots of different types of bush tucker. It was really important for us to have real honest and good engagement with the Darkinjung local Aboriginal Land Council, and we did that by incorporating them into our design process from very early on. So Gavi Duncan, one of the local artists, he was involved in the early design workshops. He also led a number of tours throughout the Central Coast with our design team, and he also continued through delivery of the park by being involved in creating the art poles that we see in the community node today. We worked closely not only with the Darkinjung local Aboriginal land councils, but we had amazing landscape architects and designers, Turf Design. We also worked with GML Heritage, and we had Landscape Solution as our main contractor to deliver the park. We also worked together with the Central Coast Council. This year we've also received the Judges' Choice Award at the National Trust Heritage Awards, and we are absolutely thrilled at that.